Hey, Al fans. I'm going back to what I did last year for some of the new fans. I used to wear this little tiny beanie cap and orange. I'm only repeating this once. Orange meant we had a good week, and blue, the reverse. It's a reversible hat. Meant that we had a bad week. I call it a good week because I call this video "We Survived the West Coast." But before I go into what I want to say, I want to stand with the people of France for those awful attacks. And this is no political statement. I just hope that something's done to control this worldwide terrorism. But anyway, so this is the Al report. We'll move on. I call this the week we survived. Last week I mentioned when you go on the West Coast, even the dynasty teams would go like 2-4. And I said, if we come out of this 0-3, Cappy will get fired. I said that. And I said, if we're 1-1, I'll take that. But 2-1's not bad, considering the fact that we outplayed LA the last 20 minutes. It could, barring 3 posts, we could have come away 3-0. But that's a loser's lament. We were 2-1. I'll take that any day. Now, looking ahead, and then I want to make some observations about good and concerns. It is a critical game Monday against the resurgent Coyotes. The Coyotes are like us last year. They were a laughable 13th seed a year ago. They're 9-6 now. And they got Domi. They're playing the kids. We don't. They got Domi and the kid on the Rangers who was traded for Yandel. So they have a very good team, and we need those 2 points. 2 reasons we need those 2 points. 2 reasons. And I'll get into the standings. We're in 4th, 5th place right now. So we need that 2, and it's not an easy 2. That's number 1. Number 2, did you look at the schedule? We play the Habs back to back. Now, I know it's weird. It's in the true essence of home and home. It's home and home because we play no one in between. I think we play the Habs at home Thursday, and then we play them again like either Saturday or Sunday. And I can tell you this right now, with price or no price, this is just simply a better team than us right now. But that doesn't mean we can't beat them. And we have to come out of that home and home with 2 points. We can't do an over, and then I got to be looking at the freaking Devils ahead of us. So it's critical that we beat the Coyotes on Monday in Brooklyn and we split with the Habs. That would be an excellent week. And then yours truly makes his second appearance at the Barclays Center with my boy Steve coming in from Fort Hood, Texas, to see the Rivalry Wednesday, November 25th. I'll hook up with Tom and Coley. I know Carrie can't be there from Texas, just to find out, what's going on. But that's next week. We don't talk about next week this week. I mean, that's 2 weeks from now. Now, let me tell you things that if you had told me in the beginning of the year that the Owls, who had an absolute abysmal penalty kill, would be 3rd or 4th in the league, I'd say we'd be going for the President's Trophy right now. If you had told me that Franzi Nielsen would be our second leading goal scorer, I'd be going, after last year he had all his goals in 3 games, I'd go, oh my God, we're going to win the President's Trophy. If you had told me that Thomas Greiss would be as good, if not better than Halak, I'd go, oh my God, we're going to win the President's Trophy. But if you also told me that Ryan Strome would be in the minors, if you also told me that our 4th line is our best line, until last night, it looked like we had a first line for the first time. There's some good and there's concerns. Let's stick with the good. If we could keep our penalty kill, forget the top 4, we'll fly. Even in the top 7, do you know how important that is? That's number 1. Number 2, we have to get more secondary scoring because lately JT hasn't done much. I know he was ill, and I basically, he was invisible last night, but we're not here to pick on JT. But I would say the 2, I just told you the things that were pleasant surprises, the penalty kill and Greiss and Franzi Nielsen. Those are the big 3 surprises. But you know why we're not running away, why we're not doing as well as last year? Strome is number one. His 1 goal in 16 games is a stunning, shocking development, which slowed down our scoring. But I know I'm going to get yelled at by some of Letty's ladies and Boychuk ladies. But this is fact. I read this from Islander insiders, writers, not us silly guys on Uncensored who all throw our opinion out. But they take these advanced statistics, Causey and Fenwick, and the Isles have been known last year to just dominate the puck. And it started from the back end with Letty and Boychuk. And they showed a chart of Letty and Boychuk, and the arrow was so far down I couldn't follow it. I thought I misread it. They're about 50% off their game from last year. So they said right now they're playing like a third pair defenseman. That's why they broke them up. And so I didn't even think about it because to me they're like rocks of the team. Like you don't think if Tavares has a bad game. But the statistical breakdown showed the reason the Owls are struggling in the possession game is that Letty and Boychuk aren't dominating like they did last year. Fact. And they have to get back to their game. Because we did so much based on their getting the puck, driving it, and what happens when you possess the puck? You can't get scored on. So that's the one thing the Islanders are not doing this year. On 5-on-5, we're not dominating. And that's a concern because last year we had the number 2 shots on goal behind the Blackhawks, I think. And we were absolutely dominant in possession stats. And it started from the back end. So let me just say one thing about the schedule that has me a little concerned. The breakdown for the playoffs. I'm not worried this year like I was last year about last year. I go, oh, I hope we win the President's Trophy. It's been so long because I went through a lot of those good years with the Owls, unlike most of you young fans, that when we failed down the stretch and the Rangers just blew us away and the Caps beat us on the last day of the year because we lost against Columbus. I'm more concerned this year about getting ourselves in playoff positioning, whether it's the 3rd seed or a wild card, like my son goes. It's not important. I think that we're going to make a trade at the deadline. You know, I correlate this. We don't have the talent that we did when we won our first cup, but we struggled after we lost to the Rangers in 79. I'm bringing this up. The team was stunned. It was a major setback, and they got out of the gate so poorly that they were in 5th seed, like we are now. And Arbor in January of that year said, I just got to get this team ready to make the playoffs and be ready. And they pulled a blockbuster deal. And I'm going to say that Snow may do the same thing this year. They traded 2 franchise favorites, Billy Harris, a number 1 draft choice of all time for the Isles in 72, and Dave Lewis to get Butchie Goring. And then out of the clear blue, Kenny Morrow from Bowling Green and the Olympics just was plugged right in. And 2 players added in April made them cup winners over a team that was better, Philadelphia, that won 35 games without a loss. That's still a record in the NHL. We beat that team. So it's not over for us. I'm not as worried, like I said, about winning we're not going to win the President's Trophy. The Rangers are. But like a good horse running a race, I want to be right in the middle of that race, getting ready for the stretch, not that far behind like Columbus. You know, I don't want to get into, if you lose in overtime. But Columbus has got to struggle now because they got into such a hole. So we have to just stay in distance. We got the Devils breathing all over us. We got Pitt breathing all over us. The Rangers and Caps will probably finish ahead of us because right now they're better. Okay, I don't pull punches. They're better than us. It's going to be us, Pitt, and hopefully the Devils fade. But let's say the Devils don't fade because they got a great goaltender. Schneider's a world-class goaltender. We have to position ourselves to be ready for the playoffs. And as presently constituted, we won't win a cup or even make noise with this roster. I don't believe it. But I was alive when Torrey made a blockbuster with the same type of mentality as we have now. Slow start, right in the middle, had the pieces, and Oposo and Nielsen are UFAs. I'm not going to even get into what we're going to do. But there's stranger things that happen. A guy like Pulak could come up and win a game in overtime. You never know what's going to happen. So the key is keep on getting those points starting Monday. Grab 2. You don't lose in overtime to a team you're supposed to beat. And then split with the Canadians and make me very happy next Sunday. So until that time, let's go Isles. And have a good week to all. And once again, my sympathies for the people in Paris.